Good evening and welcome to Fantastic Dimensions. We're playing Lamentations of the Flame Princess in place of the usual Ravenloft series I've been running today due to the absence of a few of the players. I'll be running a one-shot instead. So we've got some different characters. We got a few of the same players and one other player joining us today. So I will quickly just go through and let you guys each introduce your characters. At the moment, the four of you are traveling westward along the road from Bristol. As you can see on the map, it kind of goes right up to the village of Innsmouth, where you are headed to, for various reasons, which I suppose we can kind of discuss after the character introductions. But let's do the character intros first. So, Chex, why don't you go ahead and go first? Introduce your characters.
James Mistley is employed by the sheriff's court as a witch finder. Despite his short nature of only being 5'4", he is extremely overbearing and often comes across as being much more intimidating than his size would usually represent. He is followed everywhere by a 6'7" giant of a mute albino, known only as Frost, who bears a somewhat familial resemblance. Frost carries almost everything on his back, much, at least the standout piece of equipment being a man catcher of iron that he wields in two hands.
Oosterman is only a recent local of Bristol. He works as a smuggler, petty thief, rumour mongerer, and does blood work when need be. His true master is no one in this city, and he's tight-lipped on that. He whistles when he's nervous. And is an unscrupulous fellow, to say the least.
Excellent. Okay. And Ignacio.
So John is a man of over 70 years of age. He looks roughly like the portrait that I have right here. He always wears this elaborate red turban made of fine silk. The rest of his clothes are also quite delicate and seemingly costly and luxurious. He has very recently come to town. He appears to have a little bit of money and is very bad at haggling, or just prefers not to do it. He is missing 3 fingers on his right hand, and as such has taught himself to use the sword that is on his right with his left. And he is a magic user.
Excellent. And Jeremy.
I am playing a fighter named Willem. He is a bounty hunter. You'd see him atop his horse with a large, a huge axe on his back, kind of crossed with a, or at an X with a man catcher like Frost has. You see him yelling at his dogs a lot and kind of staring off into space with a dull look the other half of the time.
Right. And you said you have 5 dogs, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. So, Chex, your character, James, you've been sent specifically by the church to find out why Owen Rowe, the local parish priest, has been so quiet of late and why no contributions have made their way up the chain within the church. Yep. And the rest of you, obviously, if you've read the description, which I will read here momentarily, are probably coming along. You guys can be companions from before if you like, but you're probably just in it for the potential to get money, because it is rumored that there is gold in this region and nobody knows where it's coming from. So, just to read the public knowledge about the Innsmouth area as you're approaching on this road. Innsmouth is a fishing village about 80 miles west of Bristol along the rocky and rugged North Devon coast. The fishing died down for some reason about 5 years ago, and a lot of the people left the village at that time. The population was about 300 at its peak. However, since the village's decline, it is rumored to be closer to a third of that. Fishing seems to have picked up again recently, however, as traders are now coming once a week with fresh catches. The traders also sometimes bring gold, but there is no mine or metalworking in this area, so no one is quite sure where it comes from. Rumor has it that it's probably smuggling. Sailors have seen fires lit on the beach near Innsmouth, which you can see on the map there to the kind of northwest. Rumor has it that it's probably smuggling. There is also an ancient hill fort just outside the village, which is, of course, haunted by spirits. And if you look on the map, you see the river that runs through Innsmouth, and you see those trees that there's copses of trees on both sides of the river there. Just south of the eastern copse is where the hill fort would be located. And you could probably see the hill fort as you're approaching on this road. You would see it's on, well, of course, it's on a hill. That's why it's a hill fort. It has like 10-foot high kind of wooden wall all around it, like a palisade, as it were. As you're approaching, you're currently about, we'll say about 1,000 feet, or what would that be? A little over 300 yards from the village itself on the road. It is approaching dusk. Well, it is dusk, I guess. The sun is setting and it's starting to get darker, and it is beginning to rain, and there is ominous thunder and dark clouds coming in from the north out to sea. So, I'll leave it in your hands.
Oosterman will kneel down and like fiddle at the glass case of his lantern, tip some of the oil in, light it up. Yeah, show me that map again.
Right. Yes. Please be careful not to get wet or smudged. And John will carefully and slowly, he is after all an old man, remove the map from his scroll case and hand it over to you.
We'll peer at it by the lantern like, yeah, this is the place. Sure enough, just our luck to arrive at dark. There'll be spirits about. Thank you. Back.
Not all spirits are violent towards men. As I smile enigmatically.
Such speak of spirits does not go unheard.
Oh, do lighten up, Metzley. I only speak of superstition. I don't believe in such things myself.
To speak of it is enough.
Should a man not be able to entertain a thought that he does not agree with?
A man shouldn't be able to entertain no thoughts that are ungodly.
Spoken like a man of God, Metzley.
Indeed.
Well,
I'm to be worrying more about men, says Oosterman and points beyond down our trail, than spirits.
Right, ever the practical man, you of course are correct.
So as you're looking towards the village, I suppose one of the first things you would notice is that there's very few lights in the windows. Only a few of the houses that you can see from this side of the village actually have any kind of light shining from within, and even that is from behind curtained windows. So the large building to the south of the road there on the east side of the river that you can see looks to probably be an inn or tavern, but there's no light coming from that building whatsoever, and there is just a faint wisp of smoke coming from its chimney. It is wintertime, 1635, so it is a rather cold rain that is starting to fall.
So John's right arm moves in that direction, and instead of pointing outwardly, he just kind of waves his hand regally, and as he does, only the two fingers that are still there, the index and thumb, move with his hand. Well, that seems to be the place to go.
Folks about will not take kindly to us arriving at night and all, being strangers.
I just want to get out of the cold.
A den of debauchery.
But could they deny hospitality to the man of the cloth?
Could anyone?
Course
Really?
not. Perhaps if you were to ask.
Okay. Is it the inn you want to approach?
This map, does it actually show where the church is?
Yeah,
upon
the
it?
church is the building to the west of the village there, down the road. You can see it over there. There's a little cemetery beside it and a single tree.
I mean, what is that? And is that like a mile outside town, or?
No, you'll see there's a little key at the bottom, a 500-foot-ish key there. So that would be probably about as far from the village as you are from the village on the east side right now. So about a 300 meters or so.
Okay. So tapping at the map towards the church, this is where I will go. I will speak to the locals to see you're treated well. I trust you will not touch a drop of the liquor while you're all here.
On my mother's honour, you speak to your congregation, and we shall speak to ours.
Very good. Very good.
I'll send the map to the group chat too, in case anybody wants to be able to see it without having to look at my screen. Nick, you're not in that group chat since it's the Ravenloft campaign chat, so I'll send it to you independently.
Thanks, man.
I imagine Osterman is the kind of wormy character that is really kind of got in tight with the Witchfinder.
Yeah, well, you're paying, right? You're the cash cow on this. It's through you that we have this venture.
There you go. You know where your bread is buttered.
Yep.
Indeed. And the church is just interested in finding out what happened to the priest, why he hasn't been in touch, and where the contributions have been for the last year or so. Beyond that, any other money you happen to find along the way is none of they don't care. It's none of their business, as long as you pay the time, of course.
And a chance to scope out the competition.
Indeed. Actually, you were a smuggler yourself, you said, Oosterman, right? So you might also be kind of interested in
occasion.
Yeah, you might also be interested in the rumors that there must be some kind of smuggling going on out here. That's the rumor as to where the gold is coming from, and why the fires are seen lit on the beach sometimes.
Would this town be big enough, or would I have heard if there is more than one inn or tavern in the place? For instance, is there like a waterside tavern or like a waterman's wine sink?
I'd say you have enough connections and knowledge to know that there's only meant to be one in the entire town. The entire town itself only has about 60 buildings.
Well, this is the only place we'd like to find warmth and food that will cost. Whose shout? He'll say to Willem and John.
So as you're approaching and getting closer, there's a very strong smell of fish in the air. And it's not just the smell of relatively fresh fish coming from the sea, but there's also a smell of like rotten fish seemingly just getting stronger as you get closer and closer to the village itself.
Stinks here.
Near worse than Bristol.
I'm suddenly reminded of my time in the Low Countries.
And do the dogs seem to be like attracted to any particular like smell or anything like that? Like, is it like
No,
a pile of fish or anything like that? Or
kind of the opposite even. The dogs seem a bit repulsed by it, and they're really unhappy about this cold rain.
no, calm down, beasts.
Let's see. Go ahead and give me a wisdom roll, Jeremy. Roll d20 and compare it to your wisdom.
I got a 2, so
Oh
9
yeah,
under.
their demeanor is really strange. Actually, you notice when you kind of speak to them, you notice that they seem kind of nervous. Their tails are down and their heads are kind of bowed.
And I guess honestly, yeah. So Willem says to the rest of the party, "Never seen these beasts act like this before."
From the smell of fish about, they should be full on offal. And why are they out here under this rain? What kind of man leaves his dog to soak?
Oh, these are tools.
Perhaps they are just skittish. It is a new place to them, after all.
Bad tools if they are. Didn't even bark when we came up, like. Seems these beasts are beaten.
So
And he'll
mind
raise his hand to one to see if it growls at him or like scurries away.
Let's see. I'll roll. It actually does kind of duck away from you.
As if that confirms it to him, he'll like walk out into the rain towards the inn.
Right.
I will follow shortly after.
As you approach the inn, the door is on the south side of the building. You can kind of actually see it there on the picture. It's the big black mark there. So it's on the southwest side of the building there. And you see a sign hanging above the door. It's quite worn. It says "The Dog and Bastard." But there's no light coming from inside. There's no sound. It doesn't seem to be occupied. The only sign of there being anyone here at all is the small wisp of smoke coming from the chimney.
I'll test the handle to see if it's locked. And if it's not, I'll push it inwards.
It is indeed locked.
Satan's luck, he'll curse.
Perhaps the
The only
big man can
town
knock the
is-
door.
And it's
Can knock on the
closed.
door. He has large hands, and I should shoot Frost a quick look.
I thought Frost went with the father to the church.
All right, they went to the church.
Oh, did you carry on towards the church, Jex? Sorry, I missed it.
Well, I was going to set these five fellows off at the inn and then make my way.
Okay, so you're with them here at the moment. Yeah.
Ah, cool.
Yeah. But at the same time, James will he'll put a hand out in front of Frost as if to say no, but he won't even look at him. It seems your respite is not forthcoming, gentlemen. Shall we carry on?
Aye, perhaps your innkeep will give us succor, where else will not. And he'll give like the swinging sign like a hit as he walks down off the platform back to toward the street.
Sure. The village itself, as you're kind of passing south of it along this road, you'll notice is it's quite dead. It's very quiet. You don't see anybody out and about in the streets, although that probably doesn't surprise you given the weather. Occasionally, you'll see a lighted curtain in a window, but I would guess less than 1 in 3 houses seems to have any light coming from it at all or any smoke coming from its chimney. It would seem that the rumors of the flight from this village are true. The roads in the village themselves are all very narrow, and there's no rhyme or reason to them. They just kind of go between houses here and there. They're wide enough that maybe 2 of you could walk abreast, but it'd be a tight fit. Yeah, the smell of rotten fish is even stronger now that you're here by the inn, and the river itself is currently flowing quite heavily to the south, obviously feeding from the sea to the north. So you wish to carry on along the road towards the church?
On the way, if there's some buildings that are close to the road that we're on, Mistley will move over to them and walk along beside them. He's looking for any apotropaic marks, basically marks that are to ward off witches, the devil, that kind of thing, as he walks along.
Interestingly enough, and the road does, you can see, kind of just touch along the southern edge of the village there. The road is like paved. It's not paved. It's stone, cobblestone road, as you can kind of see by the map, until a little bit after you get across the stone bridge over the river, and then it turns into more of a dirt road. But as you get closer to those southernmost houses, you do see some marks on the doors. Well, on like maybe 1 in 3 doors, but you don't recognize the marks.
Mistley's going to nudge Osterman and point them out to him.
The house that you see with the marks on the door as well, there is a little bit of light kind of coming from behind the curtain. So it would seem to be an occupied house.
Some strange scratching. Who can tell? This place is old. Arthur's place, he'll say. Some mark from time ago, though I know it not. But here there is light underneath, at least.
These markings, do they seem to me to be recognizable either as a mundane language or a magical language?
No, it's not. There is, since we're using the Vaginas Are Magic and Eldritch Cock optional magical rules, there is no magical language. All spells and stuff are written in mundane languages. But, they don't... I guess I would say you can roll an intelligence roll for me.
I succeed by 13.
You rolled 13 under?
Correct.
Okay. They do seem to have an almost arcane look to them. You think they might be some kind of wards, perhaps, but you don't recognize the language.
These markings, they seem to be perhaps superstitious, pagan, or something like that. And I look at Mestley for a moment.
That explains why they make me so uneasy upon gazing upon them.
Perhaps the occupant of this building believes that these will ward him off against evil spirits or some such, as I wave my 2-fingered hand dismissively.
Just look like scratches to me.
Well, there is light. Shall we ask them?
Nothing to be lost in that, yes. Let's.
Oosterman will knock on the door just above the ward thrice.
You hear some shuffling inside. Sounds like somebody moving about. Sounds like they bump into something and you hear a grunt, but nobody answers the door. And then it goes quiet.
He'll knock again 3 times harder. You in there? We are travelers. The inn is closed to us. Where else can we find respite in this town? He'll shout over the din of the rain.
You're met with silence.
He'll mutter a fuck as he scrapes a bunch of mud off from his boot at like the threshold.
And the rain is
or,
picking
like,
up. There's a loud boom of thunder, a flash of lightning.
I will raise my voice and say, "You in there? It's getting mighty wet out here. It could be worth. We could make it worth your while if you would just give us shelter for one night."
And you get no response.
Enough of this. Frost. And on that command, Frost will step forward and try and kick down the door.
Okay. Go ahead and give me an open doors.
What is it for fighters? Is it still 1 out of 6 or is it 2?
I think it's 1 out of 6, but it's modified by strength. I think it's safe to say Frost has a +1 to strength given his size.
I believe he does.
Yeah, you wrote him up, didn't you? Yeah, so.
Nope, he failed.
He gives the door a good firm kick, but it seems to actually be barred from the inside. It doesn't give way.
There's a punch in the ribs of Frost from Mistley. Useless boy.
Father. There's more than one way to crack an egg. See, and he'll pull out his tickling gear, he calls it, like a leather pouch filled with like jangling fine tools. And he's going to move over to the hinges that like at the side bracket of the door and use a flat tool to work out the screws or rivets to try and pull the braces out so that the door will just fall down towards us if I can use an open doors.
Yeah, go for it. Roll your, it'd be tinkering actually.
Damn. All right, I'm still okay at tinkering. Yep, 2-2. Like I have 2 and I got a 2.
Open doors is more like a forceful thing. As tinkering is
okay.
for any kind of mechanical things like hinges.
Okay, I thought it was like an open lock type skill, so I like buffed it up with my points from leveling up, but that's okay.
If you want, you can swap them around.
No, maybe he's had to shoulder a few doors in his time.
Fair enough.
Because he's not actually.
Well, you rolled a 2 anyway, which is enough, right?
Yep.
So you are hammering away. You hear a little bit of shuffling inside when you start hammering away at the hinges, like getting them loose. Briefly, you hear a bit of shuffling inside, and then it stops. And then, you get the after a couple of minutes, you get both of the hinges undone, and the door is ready to come away.
He'll step back and like put his things back into the pouch and like stuff it back into his oiled coat and like step away, gesturing for Frost now to like pull the door off.
Okay, go ahead and give me another open doors, but this time I'll give you a +1 to the roll.
He still failed.
He still failed. He's trying, he's pulling, but it's stuck hard. It, like I said, it seems to be barred from the inside, like a crossbar. And I imagine Frost looks a bit dejected.
Yeah, there's another whip to the back with a flat hand from Mistley. And that's
might take
our
all of us
arrival
to open
here.
this door.
Our arrival here was not heralded. They didn't know we were coming. The people here have barred their doors or marked them against something. Look, and he'll point across the street, and I imagine that each of the shop facets or houses that we can see are similarly like every door is closed, every window is shuttered.
Well, probably 2/3 of the buildings seem to be completely deserted. So you can see some that have like broken windows. There's even a couple that you can see right into. Nothing doesn't seem to be occupied. Doesn't seem to be anybody inside.
If the church denies us, perhaps we could find rest in one of those abandoned buildings.
The church will not deny us, but I will make remembrance of this place and come back to confront them on their devilry.
Oosterman will like stalk in behind you, then hoping that those words ring true. He'll pull the coat up around the back of his neck to ward off the wet.
Excellent. So it's gone almost completely dark now at this stage, and it's starting to rain. It's a straight out downpour at this point. Peals of thunder every 15, 20 seconds, flashes of lightning to accompany it as well, which at least the lightning kind of lights your way a bit when it does flash. You want to continue west then along the dirt road towards the church.
Indeed.
Yep.
Okay. So as you do, you guys are all completely soaked at this point. As you're approaching the church, you see it's rather small and it's in very poor condition. Windows are smashed and the door is wide open. You can see a sign proclaiming this to be the Church of St. Petroc. Petroc is considered the patron saint of Cornwall and Devon, although most accounts of his life proclaim him to be a Welsh prince, albeit one who liked to travel. Some stories have him adventuring in India. He died circa 564, and his remains are thought to be lost. And that's what you know about St. Petroc Czechs being a man of God and all. But the church similarly looks to be abandoned. Doors wide open, windows smashed.
Looks like this was at some point a fine example of the Church of England.
And yet no longer.
Well, I really can't stand another moment of this rain, and I would walk into the building.
I'll follow John.
I go in as
Messel
well
will-
and like call for the dogs to follow me.
Missler will give you a look at that, but he won't say anything. He'll instead kind of scan round. There's a cemetery in front of this church. Does that look defaced in any way? You're muted if you're talking in.
Oh, sorry. Did you hear anything I said about the tree and the cemetery?
Afraid
Nope.
not.
Okay, no. So yeah, there is a cemetery just to the west of the church. There is a single solitary tree at the north end of that cemetery. And yeah, it's quite an old cemetery, you can tell by looking at it. There's also
But nothing.
the road there. Well, it's more of a trail that leads off to the south off the road here, and the dirt road itself continues kind of west and then northwest up towards the beach, as you can see.
Okay, but nothing immediately out of the ordinary. So
No.
I guess Miss Lee and Frost will follow the others inside.
It's quiet as the grave, Jex.
Dun dun dun.
What are you doing with that horse, Jeremy?
I'd like to tie it up. Is there like a post for to tie him off at, or
You could tie him to the sign.
okay?
The poor beast would even having curs in the house of God. Why not horses too? Surely more noble an occupant, he'll say, like moving aside of one of like the stinking dogs. Come, and the door's plenty big.
I agree with Ulsterman. After all, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ was kind enough to accommodate donkeys and cows. So
Aye, and
bring
once
them all
John
in.
gives birth, we'll have a nativity scene, he says, and he'll walk in.
And like, most of the time, Willem doesn't even really know what to do. He kind of has a dull look on his face, and he shrugs, and he just leads the horse into the church with us.
I will immediately go towards the altar area and see if the church has been robbed, if there's any candelabra, missal, holy book, anything remaining?
Well, the inside of the church itself is in very poor repair. The altar, all the Christian imagery has been replaced with a jumble of coral, fish bones, and seashell. And there's a vague visual suggestion of waves in the arrangement of the detritus around the church. Most of the pews have been broken and knocked over and busted up.
Looks like the church has been robbed. Not only that, but it has been refashioned into some kind of strange cult. As I cock my head slightly, admiring all these seashells. Do they look normal, like regular seashells, or is the size off, or anything like that?
Repeat that last part.
So, is there? Do the seashells look normal, or do they look, too big, or weird shapes,
No,
strange, unnatural colors?
they're normal. They just seem out of place inside a Christian church. But that's it.
And there are no books anywhere to be found.
No. Give me a search check.
Nope, that did not work out.
Okay. Nope. No books anyway.
Can Oosterman look about to see if there's any wafers or wine that have been spared the looting?
Sure. Give me a search check for him as well.
One under
Okay.
2.
So you don't find any by the altar itself. You find where it was kept, but it's empty. But as you're kind of moving about the church, looking around, hoping, chancing your luck, you do find a flagstone in the floor that's loose.
Oosterman thinks to himself that if he was a priest, this is where he'd keep his scratch. And so he'll look about to try and see if anyone's watching him. And if not, he'll try and prize free the stone.
Yeah.
John's none the wiser. He's looking at the seashells still.
Yeah, so he's at the altar. The altar is at the, I guess looking at the map, is kind of the west end of the church, nearest the cemetery is where the altar is. Whereas where you found this loose flagstone is just in front of the window on the kind of southern part of the church there, nearest where the road is. So you're going to pop it loose, pop it out. Sorry, loose, so you pop it out. And much to your disappointment, the only thing you see within is some kind of a diary. No wine.
What language is it written in?
That's written in English.
He'll put the stone back down, just holding the what appears to be a diary or journal, and he'll call out, or not call out, but speak so that the others can hear him. Here, look at this. And he'll start to read the last few sentences of the back page.
The last few sentences of the back page mentions the villagers seem to have been turned by Desmond. He refers to the horror on the beach and his intention to confront Desmond, which is the last entry, and that is dated March 1634, about a year and a half ago.
He thinks it must be some form of fiction, as he goes to hand it over to probably either John or the father, whichever one he would know to be most literate. But as he hands the diary over, then he starts to think then why is it hidden in a church, written in a clergyman's hand?
Sounds a pretty cultured man, and I think Miss Lee was the last to walk in. So
yeah, Miss Lee would have left you all to your own devices, I think, and walked away from you all anyway. So
I would go find a stool or a pew and turn it the right side up again, sit on it, and carefully read the whole thing, start to finish.
It's mostly boring stuff. It's just the diary of the parish priest, Owen Rowe. However, things of note, it mentions the arrival of Desmond in March of 1633, a man who he believes to be a warlock. And the entries then become more scattered and urgent in tone. And then it goes on to the end where he does mention the turning of the villagers, the horror on the beach, and his intention to confront Desmond is where it ends about a year after Desmond's arrival, March of 1634.
Any word of smugglers or gold? Oosterman will ask John as he reads.
There are none.
So, if this thing is as far as this thing says, the only known whereabouts of this Desmond are the beach itself, or perhaps the sea. It's a bit strange. He doesn't mention anything specific. Only that, well, I get the feeling that this Desmond is a dangerous and unsavory character. It is rather a shame that a parish priest of the Church of England should not know Latin, I say as I close the diary.
Perhaps he meant it for others outside the clergy to read upon his death, so he read it in his mother tongue. Lucky that he did. Though this Desmond wouldn't be the first man branded a heretic by any of the churches.
Problem is, judging by the look of this altar, I figure this, for all we know, this Desmond has read this diary already and hidden it again.
So Willem kind of like is privy to this conversation, and he kind of looks at the book and he says, "How can you get all that from those scratches?"
I'd say you're all privy to this conversation. The church itself is only maybe 50, 60 feet long and 30 feet wide at the cross portion.
Yeah, Willem's just amazed that people can get that much information out of a bunch of scribbles and scratches in a book.
Is Willem illiterate?
I'm at 5 intelligence.
Yeah, he's definitely illiterate. And borderline retarded as well.
Yeah.
I look at Willem as one might look at a young child and say, there is no telling what the mind can do when one applies it.
I'm going to learn how to read one of them books one of these days.
Whoever teaches you shall wear it as a badge of pride. And
I'm having like an urge to resist being like, will you teach me right now, Papa?
I would walk towards the door again and see if the rain has let up any.
Not at all. It's still raining quite hard. There's still plenty of thunder and lightning going on. The storm, well, you don't know how long it'll last, but it doesn't seem to be letting up any at all yet. If anything, it's getting stronger.
Would I know, just judging by how long ago the sun went down, what time it is? Basically, just how much night is left?
Yeah, it's winter time in England, so I suppose it's early winter. So we'll say sun probably went down close to 6 p.m. So it's maybe between 6 and 7 p.m. right now. Apologies if I got that wrong. I'm just going based on my own guesses from living in Ireland.
There is plenty of night and plenty of rain left. I say perhaps we should wait a bit, maybe make a fire if we get cold, as I put the diary in my clothing.
There's plenty of dry, broken up wood in here with all the pews all ripped up and stuff, so...
There shall be no more damage done to this church while we are here. A fire is permitted, but keep it under control.
Probably the safest place to build it then would be right in the center of the kind of cross section. That's the farthest you get from any walls or anything of that sort. It's the biggest, most wide open space anyway.
Yeah, Osterman will grab some wood and make a small fire and like take off his gloves and warm his dark-nailed hands around the flame, blowing on them. And he'll probably like shake out his overcoat and put it over like a broken pew nearby the flame to dry it out, and like any other clothes that are sodden through, he'll take them off and like hang them near the fire to dry out while he huddles near it. And after that's done, he'll pull out a bladder of wine from his backpack. It's actually decent quality, despite his appearance and like the paltry bladder it's in. But after squirting some into his mouth, he'll pass it around to anyone else who joins him at the fire, drinking and brooding rather than like speaking about what John had read from that diary.
I will share in the wine, and I will take off my overcoat and set it over by the fire as well. However, I will not remove the turban, which continues to drip onto my face and shoulders.
Here, John, some of the blood of our Lord, and he'll hand the bladder to you.
Ah, yes. The church will always be a church, even with no priest.
We have a priest, see, and he'll point over to Mistley and Frost.
Reverend, thank you very much.
Priest,
Reverend.
What do you make of the house that was boarded up?
I suspected there was malfeasance in this town, in this village. It appears my suspicions were correct. There was devilry afoot.
Suddenly, John will rise to his feet from his previous squatting position. He will grab his overcoat again and put it over his turban and his head, and walk out the door. And I will say, I will be back shortly. I have to see a man about a tree.
Oosterman's look of disbelief in the Reverend's words changes, and his eyes level on the strange seven-fingered man as he says that and leaves. And then he looks to Frost, who I imagine's face is implacable, and then to Willem, eyeing the diary upside down, and his eyes fall back to the Reverend, the irreverence that he had earlier disappearing now to seriousness.
That look's not lost on Mistley at all. He follows your gaze to John as he leaves, and he'll tap Frost, who's standing beside him while Mistley sits on the floor. He'll tap him on the back of the calf of the leg, and Frost knows that he's to follow John.
Okay.
Surely a man should be safe to his secrets, Reverend.
Nothing is secret under the view of God, surely. And
I wonder if
am
there was
not.
more reason as to why your betters sent you here, Reverend, other than talk of smugglers and gold. When I was hired, there was no speak of horrors and Desmonds and strange carvings in abandoned towns.
And should it there were such reasons, they would be still no of concern to you.
I want more.
Such is the way of man to want, not that he'll get.
He shrugs and raises up his lower lip and will just slink back to the flame at that.
John, where do you go when you go outside? Frost won't be far behind you.
So I take it I would notice Frost?
He's like, what, like 7 foot tall, albino? Yeah, I reckon you will.
So noticing him, I will actually look back at him for just a moment, nod my head, and then ignoring him, I will continue past the cemetery to the large tree that faces the cemetery. As I get there, I will lay my left hand on the tree and pretend that I am relieving myself, facing the tree. And as I do, I will attempt to cast Speak with Plants.
Checks. Question for you regarding your retainer. How much privacy would Frost allow John? Is he the kind of guy who would go up and stand like staring over his shoulder as he relieves himself? Or is he the kind of guy who would stay a few feet back?
No, he's very much the kind of guy that would check out the goods.
Yep. So Frost is like, you can feel him practically breathing on your head as he stands behind you, just inches away from you.
I will try to do this quietly, as in it would seem that I'm just muttering to myself. And I will actually, noticing him, I will actually relieve myself as I am doing this, so that there's nothing to suspect.
Okay. So I take it you're going to cast Speak with Plants?
Correct.
Excellent. So, I believe that lasts 4 rounds, right?
Correct.
Speak with Plants. So you'll be able to ask questions and receive answers from the tree. You had the spell prepared today, correct? You can prepare 4 spells per day.
It was prepared.
And of course, using these magic rules, you don't have to prepare a spell more than once. Once a spell's prepared, you can cast as many times per day as you want. And you have 4 slots per day to cast. So just go ahead and take note that you've used one. There's no chance of a miscast here. So what do you want to ask the tree?
So
I'll give you basically 4 rounds, so I'll give you 4 questions.
Okay. So the first thing I will say is, where is Desmond?
Okay, the tree responds. Who is Desmond? That's your first question.
Second question will be, where are the people who come to church?
The tree will say, no one has come to this church in over a year.
When was the last time someone was buried here?
No one has been buried here since before people stopped coming here.
And my last question is, tell me about the last time you saw a person or a fish.
He says, a mob of villagers, led by a strange man wearing a mask, came here over a year ago. They took the priest with them when they left. There was much noise inside the church before they departed. And then the spell stops, yep.
So I will give it a few shakes and turn around and smile at Frost and walk back into the church.
So Frost probably gives you a weird look. Frost, of course, couldn't hear the communication with the tree, just hears you talking to yourself as you're relieving yourself. But he probably just looks at you kind of suspiciously and follows you back to the church. He probably thinks you're crazy.
As I get to the place, as I get inside and I will near the fire and set my coat down again, and I will say, I was just thinking, as one does when one sees a man about a tree, and thinking about the dates that I saw in the diary. It seems that whoever made the priest disappear did so quite a while ago, perhaps over a year ago, even. Whoever still remains in the town should have been a witness to all of this, or perhaps is guilty. I think we should return to that home with the barred door sooner than later.
Seems to me they would be guilty, being parted to such.
It would certainly be suspicious.
There is no innocence, only layers of guilt. Is that what it is? Yeah.
At the least, they've dwelt near this ruined church for a year, at least. Who could do such a thing, and why? this flock without a shepherd.
I think if Usman had offered the wine skin to Willem, he would have taken like a way too big of drink. And like the wine trickles down his face. And if anybody's watching, like if you notice anybody looking at him, he kind of smiles real big with like the wine all on his face. And he just absently says, I bet it was the fish.
Well, judging by what they did to the altar and the smell of the town, I say this town is rather unnaturally fond of fish. And whoever took away the priest probably had accomplices. Who sneaks away with a parish priest without the rest of the town having something to say about it?
A warlock. That's something a warlock would do. And my mam's a liar.
Whoever he was, if it was indeed this Desmond, I bet he had help.
If it is written about so, it must be concluded that this Desmond is indeed the culprit.
And if we are to trust this diary by the parish priest, he was able to attract the townspeople to his cause.
Such simple-minded folk are always beguiled easily.
Yeah,
And
Oosterman
this-
nods, agreeing.
I simply draw attention to the fact that we might find ourselves outnumbered at some point.
We have
Are we
God on
not
our side.
already?
We have God on our side. I have no worry. Just out of curiosity, Ian, how long ago did this parish stop paying?
It's been over a year, is all they told you, since they received any.
Okay, so it fits the timeline.
Yep. The last entry was just about a year and a half ago, a little over a year and a half ago, I guess, since it's early winter.
Okay.
Quick question, Ian. That large house close to the bridge over at the town, was that the inn that was closed?
The one on the south side of the road across the bridge?
Yes.
That's the inn. That's the inn, yeah.
And all the other houses are pretty much nondescript and similar in size.
Yeah, pretty much.
What's
They're
that
all-
large house off to the west, further up the road? Looks like a manor or vista or villa.
That's the church. That's where you are.
Oh, okay. So we're that far out of the town.
That's the church. Yeah, it's if you see the key at the bottom, you're about a little over 300 meters from the town right now, and you can see the cemetery there, and the solo tree where John just had his little conversation.
Well, let me ask, before we make any moves to leave the church, is there an antechamber or repository? That place where the reverend would go to either prepare for a sermon or just kick up his shoes.
There's
for
not.
a
No,
while.
it's a very small, simple little church.
Okay.
I could possibly send you an image of the floor plan if you really want, but
No, if it's that small, I wouldn't bother.
nope.
It's just
Yeah,
in
like I
case
said,
there
it's
was
about
something like
50 to 60 feet in length and about 30 feet width at the cross section.
Tom pulls out the area map out of his scroll case, holds it in front of the fire so that it's a little bit translucent, and says, well, in the town, there is the house of the man who barred himself in, or men. That is one place we should check once the rain lets up a little. Then there are two beaches from where boats are sailed, I guess, fishing boats, but with all the smell and love for fish. Either of these places might hold clues as to what happened. I refuse to believe that we were the only ones in this town, even at this point.
The house we visited on the way here, the goat the suspicion, it must all be on them at this point. They must be fearful. If we return to visit, and perhaps take a different route, we may get some answers yet from the residents inside.
Not a bad idea.
Willem, I may need your dogs for this task.
The beasts are yours.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah, the dogs are all curled up as close to the fire as they can get, and warming themselves. A little bit, you can tell by their body language, Willem, that they're a bit more comfortable now here inside the church than they were before.
Honestly, doesn't it disturb you to see what they've done with the altar?
Of course it does. But the altar can be repaired, can be fixed, can be cleansed. Ultimately, the town must be cleansed first. So many souls have been lost to the light. They must be guided home.
It's raining so hard outside now that you kind of have to raise your voice even as you talk to each other just from the noise of it. And of course, all the windows being broken out, some of the rain is getting inside. Although here, like I said, the spot where you put the fire is probably the driest and safest spot. Well, safest as in like safest from getting wet. But yeah.
At least no graves have been desecrated.
That we know of. Oosterman will say, and he'll like take off his wet boots and like dry his feet by the fire while he smokes a pipe and some tobacco from a pouch.
And I think Willem would have probably mostly been staring off into nothing and then kind of like falling asleep while he's sitting there next to the fire.
I like to think that every time Willem's about to fall asleep, Mistley just slaps the floor beside him as he raises his voice just a little bit, just in response to maybe like John's question or something. You know, when he speaks about the altar, slaps the floorboard beside Willem, screams out, "Fire resides in his tent, but brimstone is scattered over his home." Jarring him back awake every time he goes to nod off.
Willem just remembers how scary church is.
And how long do you want to wait for this storm to pass?
However long it takes for the storm to pass. Unless like the Reverend orders us out into the wet, but I say for what it's worth, as I throw another log into the fire, that we should wait till the rain stops and there's daylight. Horrors are best faced at daylight. My mam's a liar.
Agreed. We should keep watch, however, if we have to stay the night.
I'll take second watch, and he'll tap out his pipe and like pull a hood up down over his face to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, a few hours later, it's 10 o'clock at night, and it's still pouring rain, so... Do you guys want to make plans to spend the night here? Are there any opposed?
Yeah, I would suggest we just stay around the fire, and whoever keeps watch has his back to the fire and, rotates looking out each window, from there, give or take. I would take first watch.
Mistley won't take a watch, but we'll set Frost to do it. Ideally, setting Frost to do it round about the witching hour.
The witching hour being midnight or the witching hour being 3 a.m.? I've heard of a couple different witching hours.
The witching hour's 3 a.m.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to ask. Okay, so let's see. If you start watches at 10 o'clock, do 2-hour watches each, that would mean the third watch would be, right? Hold on. 10 to midnight, midnight to 2, and 2 to 4. Yeah. Third watch would be Frost's.
Okay, so I take third, and then Osterman is taking second.
Osterman's taking second. Frost is taking third. You want first or fourth? You should take first or fourth anyway, being a wizard. You need your sleep.
Yeah, I'll take first.
Sorry,
and then I'll
a magic
just
wizard.
yeah, and then I'll just go to sleep until morning.
And so then Willem will take fourth.
Yeah. Basically wake up for the day.
Okay. So first watch is yours, you said, John, yeah? Okay. So about an hour and a half into your watch, a little before midnight, the rain finally stops, and the thunder is just light rumbles in the distance, fading away. You keeping the fire going? I presume there's plenty of wood.
Yeah, that's the first job of anyone who's on watch, is to put more wood on the fire.
Okay. Give me... No, you don't have to roll for anything. I'll just say, just a little bit before you're ready to wake up Osterman for his watch, John, you pick up a sound. You hear something that sounds almost like chanting.
I will
coming from
wake up Osterman and whisper to him.
He'll peer out through like a broken window and see that the moon hasn't moved to where he thinks that it should for the start of his watch, and he'll grumble indignation.
Shh! Listen, do you hear that?
What?
Do you hear that, man?
Rain. What of it? He goes to complain about it's just rain, but then he hears the chanting right at the end. And his eyes will go wide, and he'll mouth, "Wake the Reverend."
Right, and I will go do so.
And Osterman will like rise up out of his coat that he's been using as a blanket. Actually, I have a bedroll, so he's actually probably sleeping in like a swag or such, and go up to a broken window, careful of like the dusty glass or muddy glass, I guess, if the rain's getting in, and try and like hear out through the din of the lashing rain. Maybe he finds this chanting.
The rain has stopped. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Then I guess he doesn't really have to like lean to hear anything through the window. He can just hear it now that his senses come to him fully. He'd try and like move as like gingerly and quietly as possible to not like jangle any of the equipment about the fire, and just like listen to see if he can discern anything else other than the chanting.
So as you're kind of listening closer, and as John is going to wake the Reverend, I think you said, you'll know it's a very distant sound. It's very faint, far away, and it seems
like the wind's carrying it.
It seems, yes, exactly, and it seems to be coming from the direction of the village.
And this is a couple of hours before dawn, right?
Oh, this is just a little bit before midnight.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah, because
You're on second watch. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Chanting at midnight. He doesn't want to say anything, and we'll wait to see what the Reverend thinks of it. But he'll probably grab his cutlass still in its scabbard and like use it to press across and nudge Willem where he sleeps in his pack, in his roll. And when his eyes shoot open, I'll try and like with my movement gain his eye contact and put a finger up to my lips, like shh.
Okay, so Willem and the Reverend, you're awakened by John. Willem, you're awakened by Oosterman.
And I think even though he said like shh, Willem probably wouldn't even get it. He'd be like, "It's not morning yet. Why am I awake?"
Evil does not sleep, boy. He gives a wink and then looks to the Reverend as he rises.
And the Reverend does rise, much like Christopher Lee does from his Dracula from his coffin. Just unfolds himself and stands upright.
Your keen ears pick up that chanting right away. Willem might not have noticed yet, but you definitely can hear it, and there's a fell sound to it.
And I assume Frost has stood up at the same time, and Mistley kicks the back of Frost's legs. Boy,
He gets up.
get your weapon ready.
He doesn't complain.
You'd have a hard time with no tongue. This will not do.
And after, sorry, go ahead.
So I'd hope no incident on our night here, and this fell on this upon our ears.
And Willem, by this point in time now, you've probably picked up on the sound as well. It's gotten a little bit louder.
Does it seem like it's like moving in our direction? Like, is that why it's louder, or just is louder because I'm like awake more?
You're not really smart enough to know. Sorry. I suppose your first assumption is that it's getting closer, yes.
Yeah, I'm just gonna wait until the priest says, or the reverend says something.
I think they're coming here. They're planning some dark bastard midnight mass. I say we exit here, we wait for them to get here, then we come back and surreptitiously observe them. We'll have them all in one place.
Your fire's still going strong.
Right, the fire. Put it out quickly.
No, I don't think Mistley would even wait for you. With Frost on tow, he would march out the front door towards the sound.
Okay. So, yeah, if you look towards the village when you come out of the church, you'll see a lot of torches. It seems to be a mob forming the south end of the village. And they're all chanting. You wouldn't be able to tell how many people there are, but you guess maybe close to 100.
Can we see this little patch of woods that's up here from where we're at? That's north of the church.
Yeah, the entrance is actually kind of on the northeast side there. So yeah, that's only about 750 feet away.
Yeah, and Willem kind of nudges whoever, and like without even saying anything, he points at the woods that are to the north.
Upon seeing the crowd with torches, John would immediately run towards the large tree that he had relieved himself on earlier and hide behind it for a moment as the others gather the bearings.
Oosterman's going to scramble back under some of the broken pews, ready his pistol, and grab his lantern and 2 flasks of lantern oil, and just have them ready, intending if he gets swamped by a crowd of insane people in the church, to fling down oil and burn them all and try and escape through a broken window with the gun.
Cool. So you kind of
like we all just did a different thing rather than one group moving together. We all just kind of freaked out, and makes sense. So, but that's what I think. That's what I think Oosterman would do. He's not brave enough to follow the priest.
So, Willem, you're heading towards the trees to the north.
Yeah, on horseback with the dogs.
Okay, with your dogs as well. Yeah, and surprisingly, your dogs don't bark, and they've got their tails down between their legs, and they seem terrified for some reason. John, you headed behind the tree at the north end of the cemetery. You said that Oosterman, you're basically kind of not barricading, but propping yourself up defensively inside the church. And at the moment, anyway, James and Frost, you're standing just on the east side of the church, kind of looking towards the village at this mob, yeah?
Marching towards them with religious fervitude.
Marching towards them. Okay, very good. Excellent. Everybody else is pretty much taking up defensive positions, so we'll stick with you for the moment, Shex. As you start to march towards them, as you're getting closer, you can see they're starting to now march towards you as well. There's a man at the front. He is not carrying a torch, but he does have what looks to be some kind of a golden mask on his face, which you can tell from a distance, just from the way light reflects off of it. And he is definitely wearing some kind of elaborate robes. There's another man standing beside him who isn't wearing robes per se, but he's dressed. He's got I think he's got a buff coat on, or yeah, like and pantaloons. Whereas the rest of the mob look like villagers. They're the poor peasant-looking type folks, and most of them are carrying torches. A couple of them are marching right behind this. Let's just call him the priest. And his apprentice or his sidekick. A couple of them are marching beside them carrying a large stone, a large dark stone of some kind. And when they get, do you have any kind of light source, or are you just marching in?
No, I'd just be using their light source as a beacon, I think.
Cool, yeah, so they won't see you until you're about 30 feet away. What do you want to do as you approach them? As you get closer, you'll see that the golden mask the man is wearing is it's got kind of like large eye-like pieces on it that look very fish-like, and fins off the side of it as well. It's some kind of a fish motif.
As soon as the details are kind of apparent on the mask and the detail of his robes and everything, that's when Mistley and Frost will halt in the road, and he will raise out a hand and shout, "Halt!" towards this procession.
They keep walking towards you until they get you within the light, so they're about 30 feet. Well, probably, since the man at the front doesn't have a torch, maybe more like 20 feet away from you. And then he'll stop, and the rest of the mob will stop behind him. And he'll put his hands out, like in a welcoming kind of fashion, and say, "Welcome, traveler. What brings you to our humble village at such a strange hour of night?"
I find no welcome here.
I have
I'm
just welcomed
disconcerted
you.
with what I find. False words. I can only assume.
Come now. That's no way to be. And you'll see 6 of the people amongst the villagers kind of pushing towards the front of the crowd, and they'll start to line up 3 to each side of him, and they're holding long arquebuses. He says, "We mean you no harm."
And yet you make a show of force, and covered in graven images, no less.
While I'm hiding behind the tree, can I replace the wet shot in my pistol with dry one while all of this is happening?
Yeah, you can. You got that matchlock, yeah?
Yep.
What's your dexterity modifier?
-1.
Yeah, it'll take you 11 rounds to do so, but you can do so.
Okay.
You have plenty of time. Anybody else who has guns can do the same. And I'll just assume that you do so. So he looks at you and says, "Well, I'm sorry if our symbols offend you. What are you, a priest or something?"
They are offensive. They're offensive to all of God's creations.
You're one of those. I see. Well then, what do you intend to do about this offense? We seem to have you outnumbered 50 to 1.
I have God on my side. I have faith. Can you say the same? Truly. Do you have belief in your convictions?
Oh, I most certainly do. And I think you'll find your faith is misplaced here. Your god abandoned this place a long time ago. I have brought these people new hope. Innsmouth is a prosperous village again. It will be booming in no time. But I see that there is no way that we can be friends, no?
Most certainly not. You shall have no other gods but he, and you shall not make yourself any idol, nor bow down to it or worship it.
Blah, blah, blah. Get him, men. And he gestures forward, and 85 villagers rush towards you. What would you like to do?
Well, I'm going to cut down as many of them as I possibly can.
Okay. Let's roll initiative. Okay, the mob is on 5. What'd you get? 5 for
and 4.
Frost. 4 for Mrs. Frost will get to move simultaneously as the mob. What does Frost do?
Frost is going to pull his short sword and start hacking at the nearest one.
Okay, excellent.
Which is a 20 to hit.
Excellent.
Max damage.
Yeah, he'd take one out right away. And here we go. This is what I'm looking for. Where's the... Ah, here we go. Innsmouth mob. Okay. And the mob will attack you. Well, no, they'll attack him first. Okay, what's the armor class for Mr. Frost?
18.
18?
18.
Okay. He is going to take 2 points of bludgeoning damage as they batter at him. And he'll also take 2 points of damage from a torch as they try to stick him with it, and some of his clothing starts to catch fire. What does Mistley do?
Mistley's going to pull his rapier and start jabbing into them.
Okay, go for it.
Oh, that's actually quite a good roll for a cleric. That's a 21.
Nice. Damage?
Oh, no. What is it for? It's a D8 rapier, isn't it? Ah, it's better on the D6. 1 point of damage.
Okay. You managed to nick one of them anyway. Give him a little cut on the arm. And the man standing beside their leader, the priest, as you were. Let me see. This is him here. Yep. He utters an incantation and moves his hands about. And he is casting a spell on you. And let me just see if you get a saving throw real quick against this spell. You may.
Does he get a miscast as well?
Well, no, because the spell is prepared and he's not been injured.
Oh, is that? Oh, right, I see.
If he didn't have the spell prepared, or if he was out of spell slots, he would, though. Yep, absolutely. Is there... Nope, there's no saving throw. Is there any more on the second page? Nope, that's it. Okay, so a pale green glow surrounds you and outlines you, making you hyper visible. You are now shedding light that makes you visible even in complete darkness at a distance of up to 80 feet. Creatures within a 40-foot radius and may outline up to one human. Oh, in fact, it happens to you and Frost simultaneously. You're both glowing green with green fairy fire. Okay. And it's next round initiative.
Crap.
Bad guys are on 7.
2 and 1.
Okay, so the mob again attacks Frost. What'd you say his armor class was?
18.
18? Nope, that's going to miss, actually. They're not going to manage. He's managed to hold them off at bay with swinging his short sword wildly about. In the meantime, the nasty bastard who just cast a spell on you is going to draw a flintlock pistol and fire at you, Father. Sorry, not Father, are you? And I have to check a misfire chance. It does. He pulls a flintlock pistol, points it right at you, pulls the trigger, and nothing happens. Click. And he looks at it and curses and throws it to the ground and draws another one. What do you want to do? Frost is next.
Frost is going to continue slashing at the moment. That's a 18.
That's going to hit the mob. Yep. How much damage?
Max again.
Nice. Okay. And
Mistley is going to use the fact that him and Frost is now eliminated to scream out that the Lord of Light has blessed them. See how they glow. See how they are blessed, and you're all doomed.
Very good.
As he rolls a 19.
Damage.
2.
Hey, that's double damage from last round.
Yeah, getting better.
So you guys, let's see, where are you positioned? Oh yeah, I better look at my map, not the one on the screen because it's backwards. I'm trying to think from this distance. You'd be able to hear, anyway, the din of, battle in a sense. You definitely hear the commotion. The only person who would actually probably be able to get a view of it, although it's too far away to see any detail, would be Willem from your current positions. Just to let you know, in case you decide to do anything else. But next round initiative.
Is this taking place on the road that's going north towards the beach?
No, this is taking place kind of halfway between, you see where, basically about halfway between the church and the village on the road there that runs east-west.
Okay, so at the crossroads, pretty much.
That's not a crossroads, actually. That's more like a little bit of a kind of almost like a cliff or a hill, I guess, an elevation marking. I think it's meant to be. But yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. So I would just hear some very faint noise, and maybe Ultima from the church would be able to see it, or because Willem was up at the trees north of that.
Maybe if he's propped himself up close to a window, he might be able to get a view. Yeah.
Okay. But I can only hear some faint noise.
Yeah. Either way, even so, I mean, it's dark, and they are at least 500 feet away, so you're not going to be able to see much. Just can see that the torches are moving, and you can hear shouting and things of that sort. But
which way does the entrance to the church face?
The entrance to the church faces northeast. It's on the other wing of the cross, which is ironically not depicted.
Okay, so it's on the opposite side from where I am. Okay.
Not the opposite side from where you are, but because you are just north, kind of out the northwest side of the church, behind that tree, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. You see, if you look at the church, there's the high portion of the church, and then there's a long wing off to the kind of northwest. That's where the altar is at the end of that. Then there's a short wing off to the southwest. There's also another short wing identical to that off the northwest, which you can't really see on the map, but that's where the entrance is. But anyway.
So if I've had time to, I'd like to kind of see if I can get some of the group's attention and maybe lead some of them off of the priest.
You are a long way away right now up by those trees. You are at least 750 feet away, maybe more.
So I'm going to start riding that way vigorously.
Okay, start riding that way. Cool. Give me a wisdom roll.
4 under.
You start to ride that way, and you kind of look back, expecting your dogs to be right at your heels, and they have not come with you.
They're still in the woods.
Yes, they are.
I think Willem would still be. He doesn't really care too much about the dogs, honestly.
Oh,
So
I just wanted to let you know because I figured you'd want to know where they were.
And he kind of like he notices, but it's like maybe he'll find him again, maybe he won't. He can always get new dogs.
No problem.
And yeah, he's riding his fastest towards the
Sure.
mob.
Checks. Did you roll initiative?
Yep, same again.
Okay. Wow. So I rolled a 3, so they still go first. Okay. Villagers attacking. Oh yeah, they're going to hit that time. 4. 2 points of bludgeoning damage and 4 points of fire damage to Frost.
Ooh, okay. 6
How many?
altogether.
Yep, 6. And what did he take last round? 3 or 4? 3 or 4?
Well, he's down at 4. He had crap. I actually deleted his maximum. 4. I think 14 was his maximum.
Okay, cool. So yep, he's down to 4. Then that would make sense. And then let's see, next action. Yes, the nasty bastard who has the pistol in his hand, who tried to fire at you last round, he's going to actually cast a spell with his free hand again this round. He mutters something and he reaches over and he touches Desmond. You can assume that that's Desmond, the man in the fish mask. Give me a saving throw versus magic checks.
Is this for Mistley or Frost?
For Mistley. Frost is
Mistley.
probably not paying too much attention to Desmond at the moment, trying to deal with the mob.
That's a pass.
A pass?
Yep.
You feel a little bit of a cloud over your mind for a moment. You almost kind of forget all about Desmond, and then you realize, oh no, he's right there. And then Desmond himself, is there anything else that he can really do, or does he want to stay back and watch this? No, he's got a pistol. He'll draw his pistol and aim it in your direction. What does Frost do?
Frost, once again, is actually this time. I don't know how surrounded he is by villagers at this point.
Quite. There's 85 of them.
Okay, but how many is between him and Desmond? Or Desmond's right-hand man, or left-hand man, as the case may be.
I'd say between him, Desmond, and the right left-hand man have kind of stayed further back. So between you and him, and like let's just say they split up into quarters, there's like a little over 20 of them between you and them.
Okay, that's more than I thought. You could say I might be regretting this course of action, but it was what my character would have done, so I'll stick with it.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, Frost will keep cutting a bloody swathe.
Cool. Roll to attack. Roll to hit.
That's going to miss.
Okay. And Mistley.
Mistley is going to actually, he's going to cast a Cure Light Wounds on Frost.
Cool.
Which, let me figure out how to do this.
It's a D8 plus your level, or D6 plus your level, is it?
D6 plus, oh no, it's only plus 5 if you're at 5th level.
Right, okay.
Yeah, okay. So that's 5 plus 4.
So that brings it back up to 13 hit points, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. Next round, initiative. You guys are on 3 again.
Fuck's sake, same again for me.
While all this is happening again,
Yeah.
John remembers the map. and he wants to go and start taking the road up to the western beach.
Okay. John starts heading towards the beach. No problem. Anybody else? Is Oosterman doing anything inside the church, or?
Willem's riding towards the Reverend and the mob. Is that right, Jeremy?
That's right. He is now. Yeah, he'll be there. He'll be there. Not this round, but next round.
At that, I'm gonna like bust open the lantern oil flasks that I bought and just sodding it about the church. At least if they come in with torches, they'll burn. And I'll jump out the window and give a whistle through like a curled lip to Willem as he rides and try and like rein him in from his folly. Boy, boy! Like wave my arms, backlit by nothing. Actually, there's no light, right? We
no
doused
light.
the fire.
We didn't put
just
the fire
whistle and pull out.
so it'll be a little bit of light coming out of the church.
No, you did put the fire out.
Oh, we did. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Didn't you?
So it's darkness,
Yeah.
but I'll whistle out to Willem as he rides and try and get him at least to rein up and I'll try and call him aside from charging down there.
Willem?
And Willem doesn't notice, but the horse does, and
Nice.
starts to ride that way.
And Willem's like, "What the fuck?"
And he's kind of like wrestling with the reins, trying to get him to go back on course, but the horse is going towards the whistle.
Excellent.
What do you mean to do, boy? What will you do, Willem? Charge in there and die?
I was gonna just lead him off. I was gonna get him off the Reverend.
Okay. Back to the melee. Bad guys go first. That's going to miss on Frost, and the mob is moving kind of further away from somewhat disengaging Mistly, and all kind of trying to pile up on Frost, trying to gang up on him, since he seems to be the bigger threat by far. Mm-hmm. He's done max damage twice, and you've done a total of 3 points of damage in 2 attacks. So, and also their leader has drawn a pistol and is pointing it in your direction, so they don't want to be standing there. He is going to pull the trigger on his pistol, and I'll check for misfire as well. It does not misfire. What's your armor class?
For Mistly, it's a 14.
14?
Yep.
It will hit part of your armor, but it won't pierce. It'll like hit like a shoulder pad or something like that. You have like some kind of like leather doublet or something on, is it?
Yeah, it's leather armor, yeah.
Yep. So you feel it, you feel the impact, but it doesn't hit flesh. And his companion will also do the same, actually. He'll also fire at you because he had his other pistol drawn. That will hit. Does not misfire. And will hit you for 5 points of damage.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I already rolled for the mob, so it's over to Frost next.
Frost's on an almost berserk-like rage is continuing to swing his weapon.
Yeah.
Slicing through these villagers, I guess. Let me check his bonus. I think it's only it's only a 3. So that's a 15.
That'll still hit. They're
Still
armor
hits.
class 12, yeah. They're not wearing any armor, these villagers.
So that'll be 4 damage this time.
That's enough to kill another villager. There's only 82 of them left.
Getting there.
Yeah.
Slow and steady wins the race.
And what about Mistly? Now, Mistly, the
Mist-
advantage of those villagers moving over towards Frost is that there's now really nobody between you and Desmond and his nasty bastard.
Oh.
You have a clearing, and they're only 20 feet away from you if you wanted to try to attack one of them. But you do need to make another saving throw versus magic, please.
Oh.
That is every round, right? Yeah.
Saving throw versus Fail.
Sorry, there's only one of them, just the nasty bastard. There is no Desmond. You don't even remember Desmond.
Who?
Exactly.
Okay. Well, in that case, I will dash in against
Got a
his
clear
left
shot
hand
at the
man.
nasty bastard. Yep.
Well, let's go for it.
His name's Richard. He's a dick.
He'll scream out something along the lines of, "See how they try to wound me." And it's all bravado because he is fucking hurt and bleeding and, you know, punctured with shot. See how they try and wound me, and yet I still come at them. That's a 20.
Oh, that's going to hit. Absolutely. Give me some damage. That good, huh?
1
point of damage.
1
Okay.
point of damage.
You nick him. What were you using? A sword?
Rapier.
Rapier, yeah. Yep, you nick him. Slow and steady. That's what you said.
Yep. That's what I said.
We can roll initiative, and then I'll go check back on the others. Okay, mob is on 3 again. Oh, all the bad guys are on 3.
7 and 6.
Nice. Okay, cool. First, though, Ignacio, you were heading towards the beach on foot, right?
Correct.
Yeah, it'll take you at least 4 to 5 rounds to get there. No problem. Okay, just put a little marker down. Mark it now at 3. Okay.
All right.
Willem and Oosterman, you guys are together there just outside the church. What do you want to do?
You should flee, boy. You'll die trying to save that holy man. There's 70 of men or more down there, or my mem's a liar.
So yeah, Willem, kind of like really not knowing what to do, just kind of offers Oosterman like a hand up onto the horse.
Cool.
He'll take it and jump up the saddle behind you.
Very good. And which way do you ride?
If Oosterman doesn't like object, like how big of an elevation change is this over here that's running north and south?
It's not that big.
Like you could ride over it though?
Yeah. Because it doesn't look sheer. It looks almost more like a little bit of a hill. There's a little bit of cliff there to the north side where it goes out over the rocky beach. But no, here it just looks like a bit of a hill. You know, a hill rise.
So I think we should take a wide breath and go into the town.
Going to ride around north kind of and circle around towards the town.
What about Seven Fingers? Where's he gotten to as I climb up onto the horse?
And none of us saw him go that way, right?
No, you have no idea where he is.
Yeah,
you might have seen him head
I haven't lit my lamp, so
you might have seen him head towards the tree
to
in here, but you know.
Yeah, I've lost sight of him, and I assume Willem has too then. He could even be down there with the Reverend for all we know.
Yeah, so I'm, like I said, this big circle, like a wide breadth around the group, and then try to come into the town from the north side.
Cool. Okay. I'm going to say it's going to take you about 4 rounds. So put a marker down that says 4. A die or whatever you want to do. Okay. So back to initiatives. This time Frost is first.
Yeah, so hack and slash again. Well, for a 22.
Damage.
That is 3 damage.
3 damage. I'll say, given the 3 points of damage that the Reverend did earlier to the mob, that kills another villager. Yeah. Who says I'm not a generous referee?
Not I.
And then it's Mistley's turn.
Mistley's going to cast Blessed.
Okay, he has not taken any damage this round yet. Okay, you're going to cast Bless. What?
Future die rolls. I think I need to roll for this, don't I?
Yeah, I think you roll a die.
Caster level.
Yep.
Okay, so that's plus 4, 10.
10 on bless. So that gives
So
you 10
that'll
points,
be
right?
10 on frost, I guess.
It gives you, okay, you cast it on frost.
I believe I can cast it on anybody bar myself by going by the wording.
Upon the subject, that subject receives a
Yes.
number of points to allocate to any future die rolls, except for damage rolls. Subject trades the points on a 1-for-1 basis, can adjust the roll by that many points however they see fit. The number of points must be declared before the roll is made. All unused points are lost at dawn the following day. It just says the subject, so you could cast it on yourself if you like. I don't see any reason you couldn't bless yourself.
I'll cast it upon frost.
Okay, so frost has 10 points worth of bless. Cool. And then it's the mob. The mob is attacking frost. And well, that's going to hit again for 1 point of bludgeoning damage, and 4 points of fire damage.
Oh shit.
They're just battering him with their flaming torches and stuff. You can see his clothes are very singed and burnt into the flesh at parts, and one of his sleeves is on fire a little bit.
Pink pucker scars on white flesh under his ragged clothing.
Exactly. It's kind of like a scene out of Frankenstein. And then let's see. Then we have the nasty bastard. He is going to bludgeon you with his pistol. Attempt to, anyway. You said you have an armor class of 14?
Yep.
He swings, it hits the padding, but it doesn't cause any damage. It doesn't cause any bruising or anything. And the other guy, who you currently don't even know exists. Oh, you didn't roll this round, did you? Roll saving throw versus magic.
Okay. Still failed.
Okay, nope, you don't even know he exists. So he gets a modifier. He gets a bonus to hit you. This is essentially a sneak attack. He attacks you with a sword. Stabs you in the back for 8 points of damage.
Ouch.
And I just double check something about the spell description. I want to make sure, does that break the spell now that he's attacked you, or do you still have a hard time remembering him?
I think it usually breaks it, but I don't know.
Any attack that draws attention to it will make the spell useless. Okay, nope. Now that makes the spell useless, so now you can remember him and see him.
Okay.
You're like, oh yeah, how did I forget about that fish-faced bastard? And it's initiative.
Oh, I'm back to the good old rolls.
Ignacio and Willem, mark your markers down 1 more point towards your destinations. You got the shit roll again? 2 and 1? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yep,
Bad guys are on 7. The mob attacks. You said he had an armor class of 18, yeah? They miss Frost this time. They're not able to do any damage to him. Nasty bastard swings. Oh, he hits you with the. This is using a pistol as a bludgeoning weapon, so it does D4 damage, does 2 points damage. And then Desmond himself attacks you with his sword and hits you for 5 damage.
And Mistley is down.
You go down. So you go down, and they immediately set to checking you and trying to bind your wounds to make sure you don't bleed to death.
Does that negate bliss?
Are you at -4?
-2.
Okay, you're not dead then. You're unconscious. Does that negate what? Your bless?
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't think it does.
No, you get to add it to a die roll, right? So, like a hit roll or a skill check, I think.
Yeah, but it doesn't negate Frost's use because he still has that 10 points.
Oh, you cast it on Frost. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he hasn't used any of the points yet. Oh, you mean like does the spell end because you're unconscious?
Yeah.
I would say not. I don't think that makes sense for a blessing. That's going to last. It just says it lasts until dawn the next day. So,
just wanted to double check.
Yep, he's still blessed. You, however, are unconscious, and the warlock, as the priest had dubbed him, and his nasty bastard sidekick, well, apparently apprentice because you saw him cast magic. They are binding your wounds to make sure you don't bleed out. As ominous as that may seem. Okay, so it's Frost's turn.
I mean, what else can Frost do? He's gonna
It's just a
slice
matter
and dice
basically
in
now
4
to see
different
how many he
flavors.
takes out.
Yep. He's gonna add 2 from that bless to the next attack, which is gonna achieve him nothing. That's a 10.
Okay, still got 8 points left to use though.
Yep.
And then it's initiative again. 5. Ignacio and Jeremy, mark your markers down 1 more point. Let me know when you reach your destination. When that marker hits 0, tell me. Frost is on 5. They're on 5. It's all simultaneous, so go ahead and roll. I assume just continuing to attack, yeah?
Yep. +2 on the bless again.
Did you hit?
17.
Damage?
Max.
Another dead villager. There's only 80 left. They hit Frost, however, for 1 point of bludgeoning damage and 6 points of fire damage.
Shit.
His shirt's aflame now.
Yep.
Pretty much after this round, his shirt will be gone, and it'll just be burnt flesh.
So there's just a tongueless scream of.
What was the character Richard Mall played in Goonies?
Sloth.
Sloth. I just had a vision of Sloth when you made that sound. Oh.
Yes.
Well, yeah. Sloth actually could make words, though, and Frost cannot. So, yep. You guys did. Oh, yeah, I did tell you. So then it's Frost. Oh, you already rolled something. So we roll another initiative. You guys mark your markers down 1 more point.
I think I'll make it to the beach by the end of this round.
Cool. Frost is on 6. Frost goes first.
Frost is going to fire all 6 points and from his bless that he has left into this.
That tells me he's very low on hit points.
It does, doesn't it? That nets him a 13.
That hits. Needs a 12 to hit.
For fucking max damage again.
Cool. Another one dead. Only 79 left.
Come on.
The mob attacks. Oh, that's going to hit for 1 point of bludgeoning and 4 points of fire.
That'll kill Frost.
That'll put Frost down. And
That'll
similarly,
5.
they immediately start to tend to him too to try to stabilize him so he doesn't die. And you reach the beach, correct, Ignacio?
Right. And I assume there's like a stair, like a...
There are, because you can see it's kind of a cliff around the beach. Okay. And so the only way to get down to the beach is to take those stairs. Now, the beach is on page...
How much can I see without a light source? Is it overcast, you know, where you get a
No,
little bit
the moon is, it's waxing. It's about 3/4 full.
Okay,
And
so I don't really
the
need
storm
the
has
light
stopped, so
source
the moon is kind of shining between the clouds now.
Okay, so I will not light anything. I'll just make my way cautiously all the way down to the sand.
So the beach is in a semi-sheltered cove and is 100 yards of beautiful white gold sand. Steps from the cliff to the beach are wide but steep. How fast are you moving?
I will take all the time I need.
Yeah, if you move half normal speed, you're at no risk of falling. So at half speed, you can make your way down.
And make
There
out
is
anything on
There's a
the beach?
boat. There's a boat at the end of the beach, which you can see in the moonlight. That looks to be intact and in good condition. There's also evidence that bonfires have been lit on the beach. You can see the remnants of previous bonfires, and actually, you can see, you can see bits of remaining wood still there, although it's pretty wet in those bonfire locations. Do you have a background in sailing?
No.
No? Okay. Yep. There's evidence of bonfires anyway on the beach here.
Quick question.
You might remember you heard rumors about Fires on the beach. What's up?
This area map that I possess,
Yes.
does it tell me that there's a shipwreck next to the little island?
No, it does not.
Okay, I just know that there's a little island there.
That's why if you look, that's why my camera is where it is.
Right, exactly. And does the map tell me that the little island is inaccessible? Like, is it just one big cliff, or can you actually get on the island?
You can't even see that island from where you are. And the map does not tell you; it just shows you that there's an island there.
Okay, so I don't really know.
No, you just know there's an island out there, but you can't see that from this beach anyway, because you've got that other like peninsula cliff out there in the way.
Right. So then, slowly I will go all the way down and then go inspect the boat.
Yep, the boat's in great condition. And Jeremy, you can mark. Well, you can reach your destination now because they're no longer initiative as the cleric and his mute sidekick are being kind of tied up and picked up by the villagers, and the procession is going to within a minute going to start again. They're going to start marching towards the west along this path, carrying their new prisoners with them.
So we can basically assume that like everybody in town is with that party, just about, right?
I never said that. You do still see lights inside of houses. Not very many, but you do see lights inside of some of the houses.
So Willem looks to
And
us.
sorry, you also see a light now as you're coming in from the north, but you can still see the inn. It's it's 2-story. It's the only real big. Is it the only 2-story building? Maybe it's not the only 2-story building, but it's the largest building. You can see the inn at a distance, and you can see lights in some of the windows upstairs in the inn.
So Willem looks to Oosterman and says, "If the priest isn't alive, or if the reverend's not alive, how are we going to get paid now?"
We're not going to get paid.
That doesn't sound too good. It almost makes me want to leave this town.
What's holding you here, boy? Seven Fingers has fled. The Reverend's probably been eaten by those cannibal heathens back there. We should burn the place. Maybe his soul could rest then, though I'm out of oil.
And kind of slack-jawed Willem kind of like nods like while he's talking, whether or not he really understands the entirety of what he means. And I just want to start like riding down the street, seeing if any of these look like maybe like a merchant's or like a general store or anything like that.
Oh God, no, there's no stores. This is a really simple, old-fashioned, fucking shitty little village. The smell of fish is nauseating, practically, and it's not fresh fish, like I said before. It's rotten fish smelling. You do see some lights on, and occasionally you think you might see some movement, like a shadow move across a lit, curtained window in a house here and there. Not a lot of them, but every once in a while. You can, like I said, you can see some lights in the upstairs of the inn, which is across the river and on the other side of the village. You would also, if you look back towards the main road, you'll see that the procession has begun moving again, and they're now walking past the church and continuing west towards the beach.
Willem looks to Oosterman again after looking out there towards the procession. And he kind of smiles and he says, "Well, I've got a bit of oil." And like as they're kind of moving through the streets, is there any like clusters of buildings that are basically like touching, or is there like a
a lot of the buildings they're all very close together for the most part. They're all also soaking wet from the storm, but yeah.
And there's some that look abandoned with like broken windows or something like that.
Oh yeah, like easily 2/3 of the houses here. There are
I'm gonna
about 40 houses on the west side of the river and about 20 houses on the east side of the river.
I'd like to go to the nearest one that looks like the windows are broken out and like it might be abandoned, and go check the door and go inside.
Yep, the door, the hinge is even rotted off of it. It opens up no problem. It's a 2-story house. Actually, most of the houses are 2 stories, it turns out, but they're smaller stories than the inn itself. Not as good a construction as well. But yeah, it looks to be completely abandoned. It's rotten inside. A lot of the wood is rotten. The floorboards like creak under your feet, and one part almost gives way.
I guess kind of what I want to do here, Usterman, is kind of hide in this house until the villagers get back.
What do you want me to do?
That would be up to you.
You're asking the man with a 5 intelligence for strategy information.
You whistle like you've heard me do. That's when I'll know to come riding in. And he gives the boy a wink.
Yeah, and he hands the reins of the horse over before he goes in the house.
That's the closest Oosterman's come to pity in a long time, as he takes those reins and rides that horse off into the dark.
Nice. Which direction are you riding, Oosterman?
All the way to Bristol.
Okay. He rides out. Ignacio, you're down on the beach. You've inspected the boat. What do you want to do?
Does the boat have oars on it?
It does.
I look out at the water. How does it look? Does it look dangerous, or is it pretty quiet?
No, it's not too bad here. It's pretty calm now after the storm.
Would I hear any noise or see any like gleam of torches over the cliff, or not yet?
You would hear chanting, and it sounds like it's getting closer. You wouldn't
In
be
that
able to see it
case-
yet, but you might see a bit of a glow coming from somewhere beyond the stairs. Yeah.
In that case, I will hide behind the boat and listen.
Okay. Cool. What happens next then? In a few minutes, the villagers, there are now 79 of them, plus their leader, Desmond, and his rat bastard apprentice, march down onto the beach, and they start piling fresh wood from packs up onto the bonfire areas and start lighting the fires. The other 2 villagers carrying the really large stone set it out in the middle of the beach. And Desmond goes over and stands over it. He lays, I'll be nice, he lays frost across the stone and slits his throat and lets him bleed out over this greenish black stone. The stone itself, actually I should give you a description of it. If I can, hang on a second, they got a really good table of contents for this. The ritual stone, where's the ritual stone? There it is, page 18. The stone itself, which you can see by the light of the torches that the villagers brought with them, and the light of the bonfires that they're now lighting, is a greenish black flat stone, about 8 inches thick, a yard across, and sort of square. So they lay frost kind of over it a bit, so his head's resting on the stone. They slit his throat, and he bleeds out on the stone. And Desmond takes a chalice and goes over and collects a bit of seawater in it and walks back over and pours that on the stone and raises his hands up in the air and begins to chant an incantation in a language which you do not recognize.
Okay. So I would at this point actually attempt to look at and not just listen. So I'll be peeking out from behind the boat.
Yeah. And you can see the Reverend, sorry, not the Reverend. Yeah, the Reverend. You see the Reverend. He's tied up and bundled off to the side. near where the other 6 villagers are standing with their arquebuses. They seem to be standing guard. But they're not looking towards the steps. They're actually looking out towards the sea. They're standing near the steps, but they're looking out towards the sea. And Desmond finishes his chant and lowers his arms. And all of the villagers now are staring out to sea. And a few seconds later, you hear lapping in the water. And you see creatures begin to rise up out of the water and lumber up towards the beach. They are anthropomorphic. They're kind of man-like. They have short legs, long bodies, and long arms. They have fish-like heads with eyes almost to the sides of the faces. They have long fins along the top of their heads and halfway down their backs. They've got long fins under their arms. And as they kind of come up onto the beach, you can see long fins on the lower part of their legs as well, basically the entirety of their calves. The smell of fish gets a lot stronger, but it's not rotten now. It's more of a fresh fish smell. There are, how many of them? I'll tell you in a second. There are 22 of them coming up onto the beach. And they kind of walk and kind of hop a bit. So it's a mixture of kind of a step, step, hop, step, step, hop. And they come up and the villagers march forward to embrace them. And Desmond as well and his apprentice, all except for the 6 that are standing guard over by the steps, who are just looking on and watching. And they embrace these creatures and pull them up onto the beach with them and drag them down to the sand. And they start stripping off their clothes and copulating with these creatures.
I watch in a mixture of rapt fascination and disgust. Do I see Mistley? Can I make out his body lying somewhere?
He's lying in a pile. Looks like he's tied up with the guards over by the stairs.
He's got guards around him. How many guards?
6. Armed with arquebuses, the long rifle, black powder rifles.
I look back at the 20 fish human loving couples and shake my head. Then I look over at Mistley surrounded by guards and shake my head even more, side to side.
It's a big orgy, and they take turns copulating with these creatures. Every villager gets a turn, male, female, doesn't matter.
At this point, I will raise my right hand up to my face and touch my forehead with the index and my chin with the thumb, the only fingers I got on this hand. I will close my eyes and think of that house that was barred and attempt to cast teleport to go inside it. You
have teleport prepared for the day?
I do.
Yep. Okay, no miscast, no problem. Or you want to try to teleport inside the house?
Yes.
Okay.
So at this point, I think I have to roll to see how precise the teleport is.
Especially seeing as you've never seen the inside of the house, I think. Yeah.
Correct. So I have to. So would you say this is seen casually or viewed once?
It's the inside of the house is neither.
Neither.
I guess we're going to have to go with viewed once.
Okay.
But you haven't even viewed it once, so I'm going to reduce that. I'm going to give you a 50-50 chance.
Okay.
You get a 1 to 50 for being on target. We'll go with a 50 to... yeah, we're basically going to double the rest of the ranges. So go ahead and roll.
Okay. All right. I rolled a 70, so I do not make it exactly there.
So you go off target is where that would fall into.
So off target, safely at a random distance away from the destination in a random direction.
I'm going to say you teleport outside the house.
Okay. So as I do, I open my eyes, I notice that I'm not in the house, and I look around to see if I spot anybody.
You don't. You do notice, however, the door is no longer on this house. It's now standing open.
The door is
Well, it's
open.
not standing open. The door is like probably lying in the street, and yeah, the doorway is opened. There's no light inside.
In that case, I will quickly go inside and try to do a cursory search of the house, which will take me a little bit of time.
Okay, let's see what's inside the house. Roll a D100, please. Wait, is that right?
11.
I think I'm looking at the wrong chart. Houses. Here we go, Innsmouth. Here are the houses. Sorry, roll a D6. My bad. I looked at the wrong chart.
6.
Okay, so searching around, you find a jewelry box, which contains about 30 silver pieces and gems. It's a two-story house, so you've got kind of, bedrooms upstairs. There's 4 bedrooms upstairs. Downstairs, you've got like a kind of a common room, and then there's like a little kitchen area, and then a larder room with a chest. So you find a jewelry box with about 30 silver pieces worth of gems inside of it. And you find an exotic sword, which is worth 90 silver pieces.
I shall take both. Now, I assume that these gems, all taken together, are not so voluminous. I could take them out of the box and put them somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I will hide the gems in my turban and take the sword.
No problem.
And after that, I will exit the house and I will go around searching for either my comrades or a horse. Whatever I find first. I'll just go around town trying to be quiet and, trying to stay away from the houses that look like they got lights inside them, but basically looking around.
In the interest of expediency, I'll say as you're walking around, Willem, I imagine you're kind of keeping an eye outside, keeping an eye through the windows to see what's going on. You will see John wandering in one of the narrow streets near the house you're in. You still there, Jeremy?
Oh, sorry. So like I'm peeking out and I see him walking by.
Yep.
And like without any kind of like carefulness or anything like that, I run down the stairs, or maybe not down the stairs, but I run out to the street, and I'm kind of like smiling, even though all the events that have happened tonight, to greet him.
Willem rushes out to greet you, John. He looks happy to see you.
Where's Osterman? Where's the horse?
I think he had a plan. He should be back any time now. I think if I whistle for him, he'll come back.
Right, I think you should do that now. Listen, this town is full of lunatics. I think Frost is dead. Whistler's been captured. He's guarded by dozens of them. There's no chance of rescuing him. We should just leave. We'll sell this nice sword and split the profits.
Well, that's all I was caring about anyway. I was afraid that with the Reverend dead, I wasn't going to get paid. And I let out the whistle that Oosterman told me to.
Excellent. So you whistle and wait and wait and wait.
And I looked at John and trust me, he'll be back any moment.
And wait.
Let's get inside the house in the meantime.
And get inside the house and wait.
Willem, did you search this house? Was there anything of value in here?
I just had a look around. I didn't really look that much.
Could I put 2 and 2 together here? Ian, if you want, I can do an intelligence roll.
No, man, just roleplay it.
Listen, Willem, I think Osterman just saw a chance and took it. I don't think he's coming back. Do you want to check more houses? Or should we just make a run for it, walk to Bristol?
Do you want to search the house you're in?
Yeah, we're in. I'll search this house.
Roll d6. Oh, wait, never mind. Sorry, this was an abandoned house. No, you find nothing. Nothing of any value here.
I think all the houses are just abandoned. Maybe there's something in the inn, but maybe there's people there. Why take a chance? I say we get out of here quietly and just walk to Bristol with our heads still on top of our necks.
I've never been one for plans, so that sounds all right.
And you hear scratching at the door.
Damn.
And you hear a whining sound.
You think that's your doors? That's your dogs?
It's one of the beasts. And he opens the door.
All 5 dogs run in.
Right. Yeah, let's go around the houses. Stay out of sight of the inn, and just take the road to Bristol.
As long as you split that profit from that sword with me, I don't care what we do.
Don't you worry, Osterman's missing out. We'll go 50-50 on the sale of this sword.
And I start walking towards the bridge to the south part of town.
No, Willem, don't go that way. Avoid the inn. Let's go around the north part.
Across the river? Can you swim?
Oh, right, the river. Yeah, we'll have to take the bridge. No, John doesn't like swimming. He will risk the bridge. He'll try to be, no light source. He'll try to be stealthy, but yeah, he'll have to cross the bridge.
Okay. Yep, you'll make it, no problem. And you're heading back towards
light
Bristol.
on the windows of the inn?
There is, yeah, upstairs. There's light coming from a couple of the windows upstairs.
John scratches his chin for a moment. He's fighting with his greed. Let's do 50-50 here. Yeah, I want to check out the inn. So I tell him, I'll catch up with you. Maybe there's something valuable in there. Don't worry, we'll split the profits.
And Willem looks at him and kind of he unshoulders his axe and he's like, "Well, I got a pretty good door opener if the door is still locked."
Right. Okay. Yeah. Just yeah. Let's try the inn. And I walk towards it.
Okay, you go up to the door and check it. It's still locked. There is a faint light inside, though, coming from the common room, it looks like. But the windows are all curtained, so... Well, you didn't see it until you were very close, because it's very light. It's like somebody has maybe a little lantern or a candle burning inside there.
Well, friend, I am no sneaky thief, and neither are you. I guess you should try the less subtle way.
Yeah, and as soon as it looks like he's whenever he checks the door and it's locked, Willem takes his axe, probably a little bit too close for comfort for John, and starts hacking at the door.
Okay, give me an open doors.
2, and my open doors is 3. So.
Cool. Yeah, it doesn't take you long. A few rounds of hacking, and then you can give it a good kick and kick the door open. And you're met by a woman standing there. She, hang on, here we go. Where is she here? Oh, is she not on this page? She must be here. Yeah, there she is. Yeah, she's not wearing armor. Oh, no, she has a buff coat. And she has a sword in her hand. She's got short cropped dark hair. It's like a little bit up off the shoulder. It's not buzz cut or anything like that, but she's got a scar on her left cheek. And as soon as you get the door open, because she heard you hacking away at it for a couple of rounds, she will attack you.
Initiative, I guess.
Well, she gets her attack first because she was
Okay.
expecting you. She has sneak attack 3. Okay, what's your armor class, Jeremy?
14.
She misses. Damn. Oh, wait, that's not her. I'm looking at the wrong person. Hang on, where's her goddamn stats? She's here somewhere. I still think she's going to miss anyway because I didn't get a very good roll. But I should use the appropriate stats for her. Where is this chick? There she is. Ah, okay. Nope, she's a fighter. So she does not have a sneak attack at all. She's not wearing a buff coat. She actually is wearing chainmail. And she has a pistol, so she's going to shoot instead. But I rolled anyway, and she missed. So she fires a pistol, bam, and it blows out a chunk of the door jamb near your head. Now it's initiative.
I'm on 5.
Initiative effects is affected by Dex, right?
Correct.
Okay, I'm on 3.
Okay, 5s go first. So you and her will go simultaneously. So she has a sword in her other hand, and will attack you with it. What'd you say your armor class was? No, she misses.
Yep.
She misses.
So with his experience, he kind of definitely dodges the first attack. And does a 17 hit?
17 does hit.
All right. 9 damage.
Nice. Ouch. That hurt. And what about you, Ignacio? What does John do? She's got a sword. He's got his big axe. They're engaged in melee combat.
I'm
just
taking
inside
a quick
the door.
look at the spell teleport. Let's see. Total of 20 pounds per caster level. How big does this lady look?
You're only 4th level. She's more than 80 pounds.
No, actually, that was telekinesis. So touch. No, this only teleports the caster and anything that he's at. So it teleports things together. So I can't teleport her away.
Okay.
So and
You have another spell I seem to recall that might work.
no, that only works on objects.
Does it? Ah, okay, good to know.
Yeah. So and she is in front of Willem, I take it.
Yeah, Willem's basically in the doorway that he just kicked in, and she's standing right in front of him.
Can I attempt to hit her in melee?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, so I'll
you can
attempt
technically
to
move through a friendly space. I think you can kind of squeeze your way in and attack. Yeah.
So I'll attempt to squeeze my left arm in there and hit her with my sword.
Rolled hit.
That's only a 10, unfortunately.
A 10. Okay, you miss. I apologize. She does not have chainmail on. She's wearing breastplate, a buff coat, and she has a Morian helm. I really should have read the second page on her. But anyway, doesn't change that much. Next round initiative. She's on 6.
I'm on 5 again.
Okay, she goes first. She attacks you again, Jeremy. Ooh, that time she hits, and she gets to make a second attack. She hits you for 2 points of damage, and she definitely makes a second slash, and hits again for 1 point of damage. She can only do that once per round, so yeah, she only gets 2 rounds. 2 attacks. Damn, I rolled a 2 and a 1. It's your turn.
All right. So, kind of shrugging off that that little bit of damage. I got a 20. It
Hits.
Yeah. And damage 6.
6. Okay. She's hurt bad, but she's still standing. She's got 2 nasty wounds. She's a little bit off balance. She doesn't look well. And it's your turn there, Ignacio. What does John do?
Roll attempt to strike again.
Go for it.
I rolled a 1.
Okay. You miss. Initiative.
Yeah, definitely.
She's on 5.
I'm on a 0 initiative, so I'm pretty sure I go last.
Yeah. What'd you get, Jeremy?
3.
3. Okay, she goes first. She attacks you again. Misses. Your turn.
And he's just waylaying this huge axe, and he says, "I wonder if this has anything to do with why none of the ladies like me." And I got a 12.
Missed. John. John?
Right. I will attack again.
Okay.
For an 8, so I miss again.
Your bird's making an attack,
Yeah,
idiot. Attack.
it's a rather it's rather hard to do it past Willem.
She's on 2.
1.
What'd you, Jeremy? What'd you get for initiative? You there, Jeremy? You're muted.
I got 3, sorry.
Got a 3? Okay, you're first.
All right. So hopefully he's going to be able to lop her head off. Probably not, because I got a 13. Or 12 again, I mean.
Nope,
So,
you miss.
big
She
miss.
will attack you. And she hits you for 7 points of damage, and she gets a second attack. And that one misses. And it's John.
Willem, are you still standing?
I am still up. Yeah.
Yeah, I attempt to hit this lady for an 8. So no.
Missed again. Initiative. She's on 3.
I'm on 5.
1.
Okay, you're first, Willem.
All right. Again, aiming for her neck. I got a 10.
Missed. She attacks you. Hits for 4 points and gets another attack. Hits again for 1 point. So you've taken 15 damage, I think, so far.
Getting close to the wire.
Okay, and it's John's turn. I'll roll our initiative
Oh,
next round, presuming she survives.
Yeah. The only thing that makes sense is to attempt to hit, and this time I get a 19.
You hit. Damage.
Standard size sword does D8, right?
Yes, it does.
For 1 point of damage.
Oh, she's still up. Initiative. She's
I'm
on
slow
2.
and feeble.
No, sorry, she's on 3.
I'm on 1 this round.
4.
You're first, John.
Oh, this time I'm first attack. I attempt to strike again. I get an 18.
Damage?
8 points of damage.
You kill her. Describe it.
Beautiful. So almost by accident, I get I nick her on the cheek with the point of the sword, and the cut is rather shallow but long. And then she is utterly surprised that she got hit by the feeble, slow old man standing behind the other younger man. And as such, she is a bit surprised. So I get the better of her, point my sword slightly down, and feebly lean on it, and it goes directly into her neck and out the other side.
Nice. And she falls dead. And you can see there is indeed a light oil lantern sitting on a table. And you're now in the common room of this inn.
I would quickly search it.
So, page 21 it was. There we go.
And before we go too deep into the room, Like I kind of poke my head out the door and make another whistle.
Okay. Yep. And your dogs come running up, panting.
And Willem looks to John and he says, "I'm sure Oosterman will be here any second."
So in the common room here, there's a fireplace on the north wall. This is about a 30 by 30 foot kind of square room with a stone floor and stone walls. There are 5 round tables, 4 of which have 4 little backless stools around them, and one has 5 backless stools around it. And there's a door on the east wall, a wooden door.
There's only one door out of the common room?
Correct, besides the door that you came in through.
And no valuables here. Did Willem find anything in this lady's pockets?
If you're checking her person, shit, what page was she on? She has, she's wearing breastplate armor, a buff coat. She has a Morian helm. She's got 4 flintlock pistols, a sword, and she's got a keychain with 2 keys on it, a key ring with 2 keys on it.
So I near Willem, as I imagine that he's searching this woman.
Yeah, as I'm checking the body, I'm like, you see this like kind of like a bummed out look on his face, and he goes, "She's only got keys on her."
Take the weapons at least. The keys might open some of these doors here. Hand me the keys. You take the weapons. You're better with them.
And he throws John the keys.
I go straight for that door and see if I can open it.
It's unlocked.
Then I go through it.
Okay. You're now essentially there's a 30-foot long hall in front of you. However, the room on the right is just basically an open room, and on the immediate right there's a set of stairs that lead down. But then beside those stairs, for 20 of the 30 feet area there on the right, there is like a kitchen area, like a couple prep tables and some barrels and stuff. There are 2 doors on the left side of this hall. There's a set of stairs going up kind of at the end of the hall, and there's a little bit of space with a door on the right. It looks like there's another room on the right side, of course, as well. So
I ignore the kitchen and check the first door on the left.
First door on the left is a larder. You find jars and jars and jars of pickled fish and a few jars of pickled vegetables. It smells strongly of vinegar and fish in here.
I wrinkle my nose, close the door, and check the other door on the left.
You find a couple of barrels, and you find a couple of shelves with various bottles on them, corked bottles.
Any of these wines look valuable?
No.
Right. So I dismissively
it's swill.
I dismissively wave my 2-fingered hand and close the door and check the other door on the right that doesn't lead to the kitchen.
And that's like a dry larder. So you'll find in there, you know, some flour. It's got quite a bit of mealworm in it. You know, and maybe some rotting dried vegetables and things of that sort, but nothing of any value.
Let's check the basement.
You guys gonna go downstairs?
I'm definitely going down there. If he follows, he follows.
So stairs lead down to the south, and then it kind of comes with a little landing, and there's a few steps down then to the east into the room. There are 4 barrels here, and some other crates and such, and it's about a 15 by 15 foot square area, stone floor, 3 stone walls, but the eastern wall, right across from the steps you came down into the room, is made of wood.
I will go up to that wall and knock on it, see if there's something on the other side.
You hear a rattling of chains and some kind of pained moaning coming from the other side.
I look behind and see if Willem has followed me.
Yeah, I'm right behind you.
So I speak through the wall and say, "You in there?" Are you a prisoner? Are you a man or a woman who have been captured? Does it sound like a person to me?
Could be a ghost.
Right, but it doesn't sound like an animal, right?
You
It
don't
sounds
believe in
more
it,
like
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
It sounds more like a person.
Sounds like a
maybe
person.
that.
Mhm.
In that case, I will point towards the wall with my two-fingered hand and kind of point with my head so that Willem will use his axe on it.
Okay, gonna hack your way through that wooden wall, Willem.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much.
Doesn't
like,
take much.
nudging.
Only takes you a couple of swings of the axe, because actually there was a partition of the wall that was meant to be lifted away, secret door. So you hack through it pretty quickly. And inside, you see a man in rags chained to the floor. He's been gagged. He's weak and dehydrated. He's got kind of like a mullet with like longer hair in the back. He's got a little bit of a goatee and one of those kind of handlebar mustaches. He's got a big shiner on his right eye. Despite the fact that he is covered in rags, he's mostly nude. And his yeah, he's got a lot of cuts and scratches and bruises on his body.
I'm gonna go ahead and
he's moaning and
remove the gag.
Oh, Jesus! Thank God! Please tell me you're here to rescue me.
Who are you? Are you the priest?
Priest? No, my name's Jeff. I was passing through at least 4 days ago. I've lost track of the time. Somebody bashed me over the head and they bundled me into the cellar. I've seen things. They're not human. They're horrible. They're part frog, part fish, part man. Green-gray skin, slimy, croaking. Oh, and he just kind of shudders.
I've seen them too, Jeff. I've seen them too. Listen to
The
me. You got any
villagers,
family?
are involved in something dodgy with them. I don't know what they're doing. They're working together or something. Please, you must free me. We must escape.
Oh,
There was
we'll
another
free
man
you.
here when I arrived, but they took him away. I think the day after I arrived, he hasn't come back. His things are over there, and he kind of gestures towards a bundle in the corner.
Well, check the bundle.
They
Don't
took
worry,
him
we'll
away.
free you.
I don't know if they killed him or maybe they ate him. Who knows?
So I'll try the keys on his chains, and while I'm doing so, I say, Jeff, do you have any family? Anybody who will be looking for you?
I've got family down in London, but I don't think they'll be looking for me.
Have you ever been to Bristol?
Yeah, terrible place. Way better than Innsmouth, though.
Correct. That's where we're going. For starters, at least. Don't worry, we'll take you. So do the keys work?
No.
Well, maybe we should try the axe. What do you say, Willem? Did you find anything in that poor bastard's rags over there?
Oh, you checked the bundle, Willem?
Yeah.
You will have found a buff coat, a dagger, a set of specialist tools, and a sword.
I probably would have only pocketed the dagger.
Okay.
And
The least valuable item in the pile he takes.
I give Jeff some water from my water skin, and I would hand him the sword from this man.
Thank you.
And yeah, I hit the is it chains? Yeah, it's chains, right?
It's chains and manacles. His hands are manacled together at the wrists, and the manacles are attached to the chains.
Yeah, I'm gonna smack the chains with my axe.
Okay. Yeah, it might take you a little bit of time, but you'll eventually be able to break the chains loose. His hands are still manacled together, but he's holding the sword in them now, kind of awkwardly.
Right. I take off my coat and put it around his shoulders, and I will lead him out of the basement. And as I do, I say, "Who else stays at the inn? Have you heard anything?"
I've heard voices a couple of times. I think they have meetings upstairs.
I have a feeling they're otherwise
pretty quiet tonight, though. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
I have a feeling they're occupied at the moment with something else. Until let's go upstairs.
What? No, don't go upstairs. We got to get out of here.
Listen, Jeff, I guarantee you we will get out of here. But first, we're going upstairs. These crazy fish fuckers, some of them have money.
He looks at you and he looks at Willem. Okay, well, I guess I'm safer staying with you. So you go up the stairs, and it's kind of a mirror of what's downstairs. You've got 4 rooms, 2 on each side of the hall. And then at the western end of the hall, there's another door. Each of the rooms has a door as well, but at the end of the hall, there's another door as well. So there's 5 doors, basically 2 on the north side, 2 on the south side, and 1 on the west side at the end of the hall.
I will check the one on the left first.
The one on the left, that's the first north door. Okay, it's open. Open it up. Inside, there's a couple of bed frames that no longer have any kind of mattress on them, and there's an open chest which is empty.
Next room it is.
Next room on the north door or across the hall on the south door? South wall.
On the north.
Okay, open it up. Much the same, except there's a closed chest in here.
I try to open it. I try the key.
It's unlocked. You open it up and you find some really dusty, molding bed sheets.
Well, there's 2 more rooms.
Yep, there's a door on the west end of the hall, and then there's 2 doors on the south part of the hall.
I'll check the 2 doors on the south, starting with the one closest to this one.
The one right across from you. That door is locked.
I'll try the key.
Doesn't work. And you hear a voice from the other side say, "Get away! I'm armed!"
Right. Yes, no mind, sir. We'll be out of here in a moment. And I try the other door.
Okay, the other door is unlocked. You go in, and again, there's 2 bed frames with no mattresses on them. The wood is rotting on them, and a chest which is closed. Unlocked. You open it up, and yeah, you find again more rotting sheets.
Then I will try the west door.
This is a much bigger room. It's about half the size of the common room below, and you know it would be right above the common room below. It's got 2 windows on the west side of it, which look out onto the roof. About 15 foot of roof there, leading off the west side of the inn. You can even see it if you look at the map. There are 2 chests in here, both closed. There are 5 bed frames, 2 of which are really rotten, 3 of which are in decent shape, none of which have mattresses on them, and there is a small fireplace on the north wall.
I will actually attempt to give this room
15 feet by 30 feet.
I will actually attempt to give this room a more thorough search.
Okay. Yep. Again, more rotten sheets and stuff in the chests. Nothing else of any interest.
In that case, I'll go back to that other door that was locked, and standing beside the door, not in front of it, I will say to the person inside, we are not with the fishmen. We're here to help. Do you need help getting out of here?
You better leave. Don't come in here.
Right. I look at Willem and his ruinous state with many cuts on him. I look over at Jeff, barely holding onto the sword with his trembling hands and his naked body and his hands still shackled. And I shake my head and I say, well, I guess we better try to get out of this inn.
Okay. Just like, yeah, it's about time. Let's get out of here. Bristol sounds way better than this place.
See, I'll make my way all the way out.
Yep.
What's that helmet made of that the woman had?
It'd probably be made of steel.
Yeah, I'll take the helmet, hand it over to Willem, say, I think you forgot this. Looks useful.
And I'm like, I look at it, I'm like, I don't know what I need this bowl for, but I'll keep it. And I put it in my backpack.
Okay. And you leave?
Yeah, we would just take the road to Bristol, and unless we see something urgent, we would just walk in that direction.
Congratulations, you rescued Jeff. And I think that'll be about it. You'll get out. You'll probably eventually make it to Bristol. But anything that happens beyond the scope of that doesn't much matter for the purposes of this adventure. So thank you very much for playing. This was Fish Fuckers by Kelvin Green. A most excellent module, which I've had fun running twice now this weekend. I'm going to end the broadcast, but then I'll stick around if you guys want to ask questions. There's a whole lot of other stuff that you didn't come across or see, so we can talk after.
And on the way to Bristol, every now and then, Willem like lets out that whistle that what's his face taught him.
Oosterman. Yeah, and you never get a response. I don't think the whole way. He'll be in
Hope
Bristol.
springs
Probably.
eternal.
He'll be in Bristol a couple of days ahead of you on that horse. But all right, thanks for playing.
Can I just point out before you end the broadcast that this adventure started out as God is great and ended with COD is great.
Oh man.